So today we're going to make pumpkin flour. If you have a gluten allergy or you just can't eat, say you're allergic to traditional flours in some sort of way, cooking flour, you can make it out of pumpkin and then it won't be gluten-free. It's a vegetable-based flour. They have all sorts of flours on the market. They have coconut, almond flour, all sorts of different. This is just another really inexpensive way to make your own. It is very time consuming, mind you that, but if you're a homesteader and you're growing your own, or if you have a whole bunch, left over. I know a church down the street was selling them, and when they're done selling them, they just don't have anything to do with them. So they literally just throw them in a back field and let them rot. So if you like pumpkin seeds, you can get the seeds from it, you get the meat from it, and you can turn it into flour. Pumpkins are very useful. Depending on what type of pumpkin, your flour could have, the first year I made it, it didn't have much different taste than regular flour. It was just a little bit more earthy. The second year I made it, it was super pumpkin-y. Now, I'm not picky about my pumpkins, and I'm not picky about my flour. I just make sure I'm making breads or anything. I wouldn't make like a vanilla cake with pumpkin flour. So I just make sure whatever I'm making out of it, I use it for something that if it does taste really pumpkin-y, then I don't mind. So if you like the taste of pumpkin and you're growing your own food, you might as well, right? So it's super easy. All you need is a very large knife and then a smaller, this is like a medium size. Make sure they're really sharp. A cutting board. This is the biggest one I have. I wish I had a little bit bigger one. The bigger the better because you're working with such a large thing. Pumpkins, I still have a few more outside. I just have the boys paint them, or we just have them out for decoration. And we've already had one or two rot because we got them really early. Also, I just go on the first year, a couple years I did this because we carved our pumpkins. Then you really can't use them because they're all rotted and gross by the time that you get to it. I also just asked my friends on Facebook, if anyone has a pumpkin that they're looking to get rid of, and then I just went and collected them all. So if you're looking to make a lot, just let people know your friends on Facebook, or if you have a church that's selling them at the end, be like, here, I'll give you 50 or $100 and I'll take, hundreds of pumpkins. Go for it. It's just really going to hurt your hands. I would take the time, I always do it the first and second week in November, and I don't try to overdo it. I probably won't do all 3 of these pumpkins today because the outside shell is so hard and you're cutting through it. You can really get blisters. I normally get blisters every year I do this just because I go overboard. You want Ziploc bags and pre-open them. Once you get in here and you have these guts all over your hands, you want them pre-open. You can label them if you want to, but you pretty much know if it's in your freezer, it's pumpkin. So you can do that, and a dehydrator. So all I'm going to do, I'm going to open these up. I'm going to cut the meat of it. I'm going to take all the guts out. I'm going to take all the seeds out. Megan can roast them really good. I always burn them, so I just give them to Megan. She roasts them and gives me half, and I'm cool with that. I'm going to get all the meat of the pumpkin out. I'm going to cut it up into smaller slices. When you dehydrate it, you want it, in smaller slices. I'll show you. And then once it's dehydrated, you just need a small coffee grinder to grind, or some sort of mill to grind it up into a powder. And that's all you need to do. All right. So it's really hard to get in here the first little bit because it's such a hard. Whew. You might want to put a towel down or something too, so that you can actually get through it and your board doesn't slide around. Practice your stabbing skills and make sure you don't cut off your hand while doing it. Ooh. All right, so we'll get all those good seeds out. I'll get a little bowl and we'll clean that out. Smaller pieces that you have to work with, the better. Just want to make sure you get all the gooey stuff out so you get to the meat. So this is the meat part. You want to take off this and just cut this into small cubes. And then you can put it in your bag and you can either freeze it or you can throw it in your dehydrator right away. So all you're doing is you're taking your smaller knife And you're chopping it into about these size cubes. And then discarding that to your compost pile or what have you. Once you dehydrate all that, it'll be hard as a rock. You want it extremely hard. And you can try to get every little ounce of meat you can off of it. You just want them small enough where they can actually get really dry and dehydrate. So about these size are perfect. Once these will shrink just a little bit in the dehydrator, and then once you get them all dehydrated so they're hard as a rock, then you throw them in your mill or your coffee grinder. You can do the coffee grinder first and then in the mill to make it like more powder form. So now I have 2 full gallon bags of cut pumpkin and a full dehydrator. I'll dehydrate this overnight. Make sure you have these open so all the moisture can get out, and then within like, I don't know, 4 hours, something like that, close it so it vents a little less. I also have, this was only 1 small pumpkin and a medium-sized pumpkin. I have all of these seeds. Now some of them, you know, got lost down the drain or what have you, or when I scooped everything out, it wasn't too hard to get, but that's a lot of seeds. So I'll give these to Megan. I'll dry them. They're drying right now. I washed them. We'll dry them. They might need a little bit more washing because there's still some pumpkin goose in there. And then she'll cinnamon them or whatever, however she does it. And she will toast them, and then we'll put them in a mason jar and take all the oxygen out of the mason jar so they're good forever. And we'll work on our pumpkin flour. So this is some pumpkin flour that I made last year. So you can see it's just a little bit more orangey or tan than normal, but it's just like regular flour, just like regular flour that you would cook with.